Hey, welcome to FitHer. I'm Kristen Hislop, your host, and this is where strong women share real stories, expert insight, and bold truths about health, fitness, and living fully. Because your journey matters. Now, let's get to it. I want to give you a little bit of background. This podcast is a result of my experience with aging parents and a desire as an older mother myself to be around and be there for my boys and their future families. My grandmothers were 30 each when they had my parents, and they were both only children. And then my mom had me when she was 28, my sister when she was 30. I had my boys when I was 36 and 38. So, we have pushed the age limits on everything. And I'm just looking at ways and researching ways all the time of how to stay healthy, and live a better life. So I know I've got longevity genes in my family, but I think I need some additional help. So the Delightful Run for Women is all about providing an environment for women to find themselves, their confidence, and focus on their health. This podcast is going to bring in experts in various areas, review current research, and hopefully answer your questions, because we all know knowledge is power. Sharing what we know and our experiences are certain to help those out in our community. Today, I'd like to welcome a well-known community member in the Run for Women family, a longtime competitor at the Run for Women, and a former ambassador of the event, and a great friend, Benita Zahn. Welcome!
It's a pleasure to be here. Competitor. Yeah, I guess I have competed rather than just shown up and laced up and gone.
You've had a lot of roles around the race too, because you've done it as a competitor, but you've also been on air before and after the event. So
I have a fun quick story that you probably didn't know. I met my husband doing a pre-story on the Freihoffer's, then it was Freihoffer's Run for Women. My husband was the athletic director at Saratoga Schools. I was between engagements, as one might say, and a former star of the race, Denise Herman, was a PE teacher at Saratoga. Went up to do a pre-story with her, and she made the match. She was like a 13-year-old, he wants you to call, and she wants, and then it's 26 years to get married.
That's awesome. And Denise is one of our women who've done all. Now, this coming year will be 40.
So I owe a lot to the run.
There we go. Okay, another story. That's something that we really want to. And I think a part of this whole podcast is, getting information out there, but we want women to share their stories. We want to hear about struggles so that we can help provide,
And for me, it's fun because I'll see women through the year and they'll say, "Oh, I raced next to you. Oh, I've been trying to catch you. Oh, I finally, after 3 years of running, I beat you to the finish line." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. What was your time?" "Oh, she was like a second ahead of me." But that's great, because if we have someone we feel comfortably competitive with, not "I'm going to run your heels off your feet," but how wonderful. Because I always feel that the race is a competition, but in a very supportive way.
I think that's something that's hard to explain to people, that it really is. And that's the environment that we want to create. Right. You've taken a twist after retiring from the news world.
She says, I pivoted.
You pivoted, yes, into becoming a health coach. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
So it's something I had contemplated coaching 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Because it's, my master's and my doctorate in bioethics. And at the heart of that is autonomy, your ability to engage for yourself. And that's very hard in our society, who says no. It's a complete sentence. So I thought about that, and I knew it was time to leave TV. You just know. And I started to explore wellness, health and wellness coaching, and probably would have left earlier except for the pandemic. And people would say, "Well, why not?" I said, "Well, I needed a place to go." So I went to work during the pandemic, but I studied during then. And I chatted with the folks at Capital Cardiology. And before I could finish my pitch, they said, "When can you start?" Unbeknownst to me, really anyone, they were launching a wellness program, which now encompasses the Pritikin Intensive Cardiac Rehab, which I teach the stress management portion. They kept my secret for a few months and then off and running. And I think it's a really nice pivot from being, a news anchor and reporter, but being the health reporter. Because, Kristen, you know from talking with me, and it goes back to autonomy and empowerment. And that's really the heart of the race, is empowerment. And if I can help someone carve their path with support to follow that path, then I've done good that day.
It's huge. Yeah. What has been the reception of, being a health coach? Do people get it? Do they understand what they're coming to you for?
Some. Insurance doesn't cover my services. We're still happier to pay after the horses are out of the barn than keeping them in. And I'm not expensive. We won't get into that, but I'm really not expensive. And generally people see me once a month, sometimes every 3 weeks, sometimes every other month. I've got one fellow who comes beginning of the season, the end of the season, because he's reached his goal. He's down 50 pounds. He's changed everything about the way he eats. And one of my favorite stories about him, he said, I'm having a problem, Benita. And what's that? He said, well, the lady across the street, whenever I go out for a walk, she wants to stop and talk to me. I can't get my big walk in. I said, you tell her that it's your prescription, that you have to walk at a certain pace. She'll understand that. No, he goes outside. She goes, I know, you're taking your walk.
I could always invite her along.
She was, yeah. But so a lot of people, but don't get it. Those who do and are ready, because at the heart of coaching is self-care. And we confuse self-care and selfish in our community. And they're vastly different. I contend the most selfish thing you can do is not engage in self-care, because then you can't be there fully to do all the things you believe you have to and you want to. Right. So you've got to put your mask on first.
How many times do we hear that? And yet women just say, no, I've got to go do everything for everyone else first.
And you wouldn't drive your car when it says E. Right. I had a client early on who was really combative about that. And I talked about the mask. She said, well, I don't believe that. I said, well, really, it's been very well researched. Well, so at that point, I just looked at her, I go, well, then you would both be dead. She's got to process that. But that's really, there's so much research on all this, and I don't want to get into the weeds, but you must take care of yourself so you can do all those things. Otherwise, you get short and people know they're not getting it all, and then they're fussed that you're letting them do that to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, 100%. What are some of the things that you work on with people?
Oh, awareness. I'll call it mindfulness, sort of undergirds everything. Eating is a big one. When we eat, we release chemicals in the belly that get red in the brain, and it's this whole conversation back and forth. Right? But if you're eating too fast, you get ahead of it. If you're watching TV, it doesn't register. And if you go away from the table, you go, oh, God, I have no willpower. That's not it. You just didn't read the signal. So much of what we do, if it's somebody comes because of weight, we learn to listen to satiety. I talk about 3 kinds of hunger. There's head, there's heart, and there's belly. And if it's not grumbling, cookies, they're not going to fix it.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, right? I think too, there's a little bit of that, people are like mindfulness, well, that's a scary word. Yes. Do you have to use different words to talk to people about this kind of thing?
I'll joke about it. I go, it's really not woo-woo.
Yeah.
It's just paying
attention.
Right. Yeah. When you eat a piece of chocolate, and I do this when I go out because I work with groups, and you take, say, a Snickers bar, because that's my fave, with a little bitty Snickers bar, crinkle it, smell it. Your mouth is going to start to water. Right. Open it, bite into it, but don't bite through it. Take a bite. Those little ones are 2 bites. They're not 1. Yeah. And really revel. That's what mindful eating is about, because too often.
Right, exactly. That's one thing, tying back to the running, yeah. I think it's sometimes when you have your best runs is when you're in the moment. When you're right there, and we try and work with that with the kids, right?
Very much.
And running and stay present, which is huge, right? It's a great lesson that you can learn.
You and I were talking before we began the taping about the stockade-a-thon, and I was terribly undertrained. but I made the choice to show up.
Right.
I could sit on the couch to what end? Let's go run. I've got a half marathon, a few weeks, out. And it was that mindfulness. And we talked about how our 5K splits were within seconds of each other. And the terrain was vastly different.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It was just being there and kind of being aware of how you're feeling and following that. And, sometimes it's to follow your gut, right? And you go, hey, this feels good. I'm going to stay here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah. Neat. So pivot a little bit from the health coaching. I've never known you to sit still, but how has your health, fitness, wellness journey changed over time? I feel like there's so much more information out there now for us, but it's still not enough, right? Not enough research done on women. But how has it changed for you over time?
I've added weight training.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just running.
Yeah.
And it can't just be running. I have to confess, I hate yoga. I hate yoga so much, I even wrote a stand-up comedy about that for an audition. I auditioned for Joan, the Joan Rivers show.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the part. That's okay. But the piano player loved it. And I'm trying to build a little more, and then I'll go back. I've done stand-up. But you need a lot of headspace. So yoga is not the right thing for me. But I've tried it. So to answer your question, I understand that resistance, weight training, the recommendation is at least twice a week to engage in that. You've got to go out and try. Life's a buffet. Mm-hmm. So if it's not yoga, maybe it's something else. I'm not a fan of HIIT. It's too fast for me. Right. I love weightlifting. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's my zen.
Well, and it used to be that for runners and triathletes, it was like, don't do strength training.
Right.
Focus on the sport. There was so much of that. And I remember in swimming in high school, we just started weight training. No one told us what to do. Right.
We walked the steps.
It was like,
what we did.
Maybe should do that kind of stuff. Right. Like, thankfully now it's more in a lot of the youth programs, but I think it is so important over time. Mm-hmm. How about the amount of information that's out there?
There's a tremendous amount of information, and I really want to encourage everybody to make sure that you're utilizing a bona fide source, not some, Mrs. Greenleaf up on a mountain. I don't mean to denigrate that, but look for research that has been peer reviewed, that we understand is not going to hurt you. There's a lot of fly-by-night stuff.
Well, and it's interesting because I get requests to quote in articles all the time, and it's like this new fad, this new, and it's like, well, if it's a fad, then it's not something we want to be doing. And right. A lot of times I think it's challenging because the research articles come out and there's something sexy within it, so that becomes the headline. It's not really what the paper was about. Right. It's not what the study focused on, and it's not necessarily what we should pull from it. How do you call and figure out where you're going for your information?
I have some bona fide sources. I still read Medscape.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah.
The New England Journal of Medicine, things of that sort. I'll tell you, WebMD is a wonderful source. Mm-hmm. It's very well researched and it's very user-friendly. The Mayo Clinic site is quite good also. So those are some of my
How much do you feel like the value of your life experience pulls into your own health journey, but then also coaching people?
Very much so. But coaching is not about giving somebody advice. Mm-hmm. It's about hearing where they are and helping them explore where they are and where to go. And something mantras are very powerful. This. Nike's made a fortune on just do it.
Exactly.
I share with every client at every juncture, all you have to ask is, how does this serve me? That's all. How does this serve me? Mm-hmm. It's without prejudice. How does it serve me? If
and
it,
it's personalized too, right?
exactly.
Which is, I think, another challenge is people look, oh, well, everyone else is doing that, so I should do that.
But that's like your mom saying, if everybody stood in the street on their head.
Exactly. I heard that all the time.
Yeah, same.
I think my boys say now, they say all the things I used to say to them. That's probably one of them. Like, yeah, we're not going to do that. What do you think it's important for women specifically to be thinking about, like, in each of the decades? Like, one of the things I think is super important, like, I think, like, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds ought to be thinking about what's that last decade going to look like? Totally. What do I want it to look like? And how can I do a little bit of cardio and a little bit of strength training and eat fairly well and, just keep that balance?
Yes, exactly right. Nobody ever thinks there will be an end. Nobody ever thinks you will be not as hale and hearty as you are in this very moment. Nobody thinks that way. And that's, I think, how humans are built, so we get out of bed to face the adversities of the world. But if everyone just took, even if you just take 5 minutes every day, this 5 minutes will serve me down the road. Incorporate walking. Not everybody has to run. You don't all have to lace up. Get in the pool if walking is not your thing. Go to a yoga studio. Do something, engage in something that also, at best, puts you in touch with other people, because the research is very clear. We have an epidemic of loneliness, and that's been it's likened to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And it's not brand new. It has been accelerated, but it is not brand new. So find something that you will engage with others. There were so many, if you like running, there were so many running communities. I run locals up in Saratoga. There's the Clifton Park Beer Runners.
Right. There's so
Cap
many
City
new groups.
Runners in
Cap
Albany.
City is huge now.
Right. I want to go hit them. I've got one or two that I run with regularly, but I want to go hit them all.
Yeah, because that community is huge. It's super important to feel like you're part of it. And it's a way to get back out there. Right. And that's partially what we do with the training challenge, right?
Exactly.
Get women engaged, get them going, have them meet other people.
I want to point out, somebody who's training challenge. This is not about a bunch of rabbits. There are women who show up who've never run a day in their life. And they learn to walk briskly. You want to be walking at 20-minute pace or better for the maximum cardiovascular impact. They learn how to do that with others. It's great. I worked with the walking group.
Yeah, it's fun. Time. They're great.
They're great.
Well, and I think it's also that taking on a new challenge, right? So that's good for your longevity.
Yes.
And figuring out, how do I learn something new? How do I take on a challenge? How do I stretch myself a little bit further? We talked a little bit about it before, but what does a run for women mean for you personally?
Oh, it's a great opportunity on a few. One is to measure my fitness once a year, see how I'm doing. I'm put on a few years, not pounds, but a few years, and that changes.
It does, absolutely.
And let's see how that goes. And it's an opportunity to reconnect with other women. And it's an opportunity to see a community come out and support each other, to support women. And I know some people go, well, do you really still need an all-women run? I hear that. Yeah. You know what? We do. It's still too easy to do this to women. We see it still in research and healthcare. But it's just a nice opportunity to come out, feel empowered.
Well, I think that's the one thing that a lot of women do say. It's like that day where they feel empowered. They feel stronger. They feel more confident. They feel like they can be themselves. So they can dress up and they can wear a tutu, or they can be serious and race hard, but they can come as they are and they don't worry about it.
And I learned how to spit.
That's good. I still don't have that down. And no one wants to be behind me.
I figured that out. I think the second or third year I was running, I've got to spit. How do you do this?
Yeah.
Figured it out. And I'm like, yes. And no woman goes, if anything, I've had a couple of ladies go, good job.
Oh, yeah. No, yes, yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's important. We need to do those things. I'll give you
a little lesson.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, because I make a mess. You have to do it on a bike, too. So there are certain things we need to learn. And
I never thought about it on the bike.
Yeah. But a few things that we're going to do with each of our guests is ask some fun questions. And so one of them is, what is your favorite post-run or post-workout even snack?
This will sound so like I like oranges. When I go to a race, I really want an orange. And we did the stockade-a-thon, and I ended up with a beer. And I didn't even eat the pizza, and I only had a little bit of a beer. And got home, and we didn't have oranges. And I was involved. I directed a show, and I got to the theater, and there were mandarins.
Oh, yeah.
And I fell on them like I hadn't seen something that looked like that in years.
Is that always your favorite? Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Because, they always say, too, is like when you crave something, you feel it, then you're depleted in something.
Right.
I wonder, like, your vitamin C may be down low post-race.
I'm better now because I started, I think it's the electrolytes. And I've started using an electrolyte supplement. I recently did a piece on this. I cramp. And I've just never really hit it right. And it's the like Salt Tab, I think it's called. Perfect. They're like sweet tarts that we had as a kid. And I'm doing some of those. And I didn't cramp during the run. So maybe that's why I wasn't running after oranges. But I did get that mandarin. Yeah, but I love a mandarin. I love oranges. That's keep your bananas. I want an orange.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, we'll have to make sure we get oranges at the Run for Women. Because I think there's a lot of people that like that. What is your favorite way to recover? And let's just talk about recovery a little bit. Like, importance of recovery. When you're talking to people who are maybe changing their health journey, what do you tell them about recovery? And
that you must give your body a chance to catch up with you. You've stressed it. Now let it catch up. My husband is an old coach. And as he said, rest never hurts. Right. And we worry about that. But overtraining is much more of a problem than the, if you will, undertraining. And for me, after a hard workout, I love Epsom salt bath.
That's, my son does too. He used to come home all the time and take them. Yes. Yeah. That's
unscented.
An awesome one. I like that. Yeah.
Can't handle the scent.
Yeah. But I think that's another thing too, that, again, we hear all these different recovery modalities. So as we go through this, it'll be interesting to see what people say. And I think it's very personal, right? Epsom salts work for you. I wonder how much of that is the Epsom salts and how much is that just the time to stop
and does it matter?
Relax.
And does it matter? But we're taking the time to relax. Exactly. If you've done something hard, right? Your body needs, just like when you run and you need to settle your breathing. And some people do 3, 1, for every 3 steps. We have to give our bodies a chance to catch up. It goes back to the eating. You've got to give time.
Exactly. No, exactly. Now, your favorite workout, or if you don't have a particular workout that you just love, it's fun talking to people about that. Maybe a place to work out.
Outside.
Yeah, you are a big outside person.
Yeah, outside. Get me out of doors,
So talk about what you do in the winter, because everybody around here, our weather is great.
I run outside in the winter. Come on, kids. And you learn what's plowed and what's not. So I won't do a bike path by myself. Not going to happen. But near bike paths are roads that are very lightly traveled. There may be, if you go taking a look, that are plowed. Right. That's where you're going to find me. Yeah. And also people get creative. One of my clients lives in an area that she doesn't feel safe in moving. So I said, do you have a driveway? She said, yes. I said, so walk back and forth, because there's something known as exercise snacks. I know you're familiar with it. The research says anywhere between 1 and 5 minutes to get your heart rate up. And the goal is to snack 7 times a day. Just start with 1. So when the head is saying, cookie, right, put on your sneakers, and a craving only lasts 3 to 5 minutes. It's self-limiting. By the time you get your sneakers on, and you put on your top, and you go out, so she's taken to walking down the driveway and back.
But then it'll get to the point where she walks down the driveway and goes, well, I got time. I can go a little further.
And she has, you're right.
So it's a great way just to get started, because a lot of people are fearful of taking those first steps and getting started. So it's like, okay, how do we do that?
Well, that's the question. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Important stuff. how can people get in touch with you, follow you? You are all over the place doing all kinds of things. What's the best way to track where you are and what shows you're either directing or acting in or
Well,
all that good stuff?
BenitaHealthCoach.com. BenitaHealthCoach.com is my website. That'll bring you actually to Capital Cardiology because we've tied them. Let me be clear. I don't work for Capital Cardiology. I don't want to be owned anymore. I did that a long time at News Channel 13. I have my own business. It's Be the letter Your Best. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, and BenitaHealthCoach.com is my website. You can email me at BenitaHealthCoach@gmail.com. You do not have to be a patient at Capital Cardiology. They take a little cut so that I get a great office and they do my billing for me. But if you don't want to even come there, we'll work something else out. So just give me a jingle and we'll see how that goes. I'm also available to work with your organizations, and I do that. I hate to call it motivational, but really that's what it is. And I talk about finding more joy in your life. I talk about beating burnout, crafting wellness steps.
Well, I'm sure you're incorporating the loneliness in there now, too.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And especially, I think it's hard with people who work at home.
Yes. And, we've been running, and I did it with another nationally certified health coach, which means we sat for a national exam, a 2-part. They basically shake you upside down to make sure you're not bringing any, cheat material. And we did this for 2 months back at the beginning of the year. We've got something going right now. Right now we're doing Monday evenings at CDPHP, the Green Building in Clifton Park, if anybody knows that. So you can reach out, and that's a drop-in. Yeah. So we'll probably restart that. I'm looking to work with the Y. They are reopening their boutique gym in Colony near the Hannaford. Right. And they're opening that as a Parkinson's support. We're looking to work with them also. And that will be both for persons living with Parkinson's and others. Yeah. So I'm out there.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's absolutely wonderful having you as our first guest. And I know you'll be back because I think what we really want to do, I know what we really want to do is start to delve into topics. And, as we get going with this, really get deep on some things.
I'd love it. Hats off, really. Big, big kudos to you. Always out there on the point, supporting women and people. Yes, women, but people in their journey to what I would say be your best. And that's different for everyone, but it involves that modicum of self-awareness, self-care to be able to really show up in your life.
Absolutely. 100%. So as we close, what you do next matters most. Be fitter. Thank you.